Well, greetings, fellow YouTubers. I'm here with my grandfather today, my grandfather Robert, and you are 100 years old. Now, I know maybe you can't hear me because I'm a little farther away from the microphone, so I apologize if the audio in this video is a little funny. I hope you can hear it. Um, Anyways, I just thought, to mix it up a little, to give you a bit of, different stuff on my channel. I thought, why not interview people, or at least why not interview my grandpa? Because not too many people are 100 years old and can still, talk. You can still talk, right? You're all right.
So, yes, I can.
There's some different things I wanted to interview you about, and maybe this will go on for a little longer than half an hour to 40 minutes. I'm not sure. So again, you go by the name of Robert,
Yeah.
or sometimes people call you Bob.
Oh yeah. I was when I was working in Canada. My name was Bob. Everyone knew me as Bob. Robert was sort of a secondary name.
Okay. So why don't you give us a simple overview of your life? Like, where are you from originally? Where were you born?
Well, I'm in Latvia. I was born in Latvia.
Where's Latvia, for those people who don't know?
Well, Latvia is on the shores of Baltic Sea. Neighboring countries are Estonia, Russia, Lithuania, and across the sea is Sweden.
Okay. So you're from Latvia, and you were born when?
I was born 1916.
Okay. And then obviously you didn't spend your whole life in Latvia, so tell us what happened.
Well, what happened really was that the Second World War broke out somewhere in 1918, 1990, and lasted up.
You mean the Second or the First World War?
The Second World War.
Right, so it broke out in 1939.
Yeah. 1939.
Right.
Lasted until 45. And, well...
What about before the war? You were an engineer?
Yes, I went to university, studied mechanical engineering, and got a diploma there.
Okay, mechanical engineering.
Yeah, mechanical engineering. Well, in 1944, I lived and worked in Riga, which is the capital, and I decided it was summertime. I went back home in the country for my holidays.
Right.
But the war was already entering Latvia. Germans fighting the Russians, and the Russians pressed on.
Right.
They came into the front, came into Latvia, and was nearing Riga, the capital. And I was on my holidays out in the country, where I was born, where my family was there, father, mother, and sisters. And as it went on, as the Russian front came into Latvia, I figured in my mind that I have to do something. So I decided to join the army.
Right.
I was out in the country when I made this decision, and it formed my family, and so I had to go back to Riga, to join the army. So I did that, and for a while I joined the Latvian army.
Right, the Latvian army. Yeah.
Latvian army, yeah. Unfortunately, there were not available armaments like rifles and anything else. So I went into the army, and we were kept there for some weeks, and they couldn't send us out to the front because we didn't have arms. Then I don't know the details how and what. Then the whole lot of the army units were sent across, not across, but were sent down to Germany. Well, all the hundreds and thousands of the Latvians who had joined the army to fight the Russians, we were sent on ships. We were sent to Germany. There we were kept and were subjected to some instructions and.
So at this point, were you still with the Latvian soldiers, or were you with Germans?
Well, for a while we were not either, neither Latvian nor German, because we had arrived from Latvia, and we were accommodated then. So it was really German army.
Right, so you were basically fighting with the Germans at that point. And at that point, was Latvia already captured by the Soviets?
Well, they were only part of Latvia was already under Russian rule.
Right.
You see, the Russians had ruled for some years already. All Latvia.
Right.
You may not know the history, but Russians entered the Baltic countries at the beginning of the war.
Right.
It was a Russian rule.
Yeah.
And so we basically were fighting the Russians. To do that, as we were in Germany, we were sort of sent to the German army units.
Right. Did you have to actually fight the Russians? Like, were you in combat?
We were about, as I remember, we were sent out somewhere in around September, and around December we were sent to German army units in the front. The front was at that time was already in Polish country, in Poland.
Okay.
So that's how I happened to join in the war, fighting in German army against the Russians.
Right, against the Soviets, against the Russians.
That's right, the Soviet. That was like communist regime.
So how did this all wrap up? How did this conclude when the war ended? What happened to Latvia? What happened to you?
Well, as it happened, the Russians came into Latvia and captured
Right.
all the Baltic, the three Baltic countries.
Right.
I was then in a German army in how to explain? We were somewhere on the Polish-German border when the war ended. So I ended in Germany. And we were really surrounded by the Russians. And there is on the Baltic Sea, on the shores of Baltic Sea, but we escaped. In that was part of Poland, on the Baltic Sea.
Right.
We escaped from the surrounding by ships.
Right. You escaped by what kind of a ship did you escape in?
Oh, well, there were all sorts of small boats. It doesn't come to my mind.
So this took you from the coast of Poland into the North Sea, the German North Sea, into some location in Germany.
We escaped along the Baltic Sea, sailing west.
Right.
On the Baltic Sea,
right.
And we landed in the northern part of Germany, not far from Danish border, from Denmark. And we ended there, and we were still in a German army unit. Me and a couple of other Latvians, we went to our commander and said that we want to be released now, And in the meantime, we had heard that there is a camp not far from, we were in Western Germany, not far from where we were, a lot of Latvian refugees.
Right.
Who had fled because the Russians had come in and occupied the country again.
Right.
They had fled, and quite large numbers. And there was in a German town right on the shores of Baltic Sea, the name's Neustadt.
Right.
We ended up there and joined the Latvian refugees.
Right.
In that camp.
And this was in Allied-controlled Germany?
That was the war ended.
Right.
In other words, when the war ended in May '45, we were on the Russian front on the Baltic Sea, on the shores of Baltic Sea. We escaped from that spot along the Baltic Sea to Western Germany, which, of course, Germany was not occupied by the Russians.
Right. So then, what happened after the war ended when you were in this camp?
Well, I spent about 2 years in in the refugee camp.
2 years, okay.
2 years. In these 2 years, I I had taken up learning English language.
You learned English, okay.
I learned
Yeah.
enough English
Yeah.
language so that I was able to speak.
Right.
And so after 2 years living in the camp and learning the language, I decided to go to England.
Did you work in the camp though?
I got a job since I had already my engineering diploma. I was a qualified engineer. I got a job in an organization near the in a German organization near the camp.
So this was when you were still in the camp. Right.
Yeah, basically still living in the camp, but working like next door for a German company.
So before you went to England, you met my grandmother, right?
You were
my grandmother.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Right before you went to England.
My wife.
Yeah, your wife.
We got acquainted in the refugee camp.
Right, in the refugee camp. Okay.
At the refugee camp.
Right.
And we sort of.
And she was Latvian too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a Latvian refugee camp.
Yeah.
So we sort of fell into love.
Yeah.
And decided to go to England. We went to England very soon. That was in 1947.
1947. Okay.
War ended in 45. We spent about 2 years in the refugee camp.
Right.
And then went to England.
How did you get to England?
Well, we just applied to the respectful or to the whatever.
To the government.
Yeah.
To the agency.
To the agencies, yeah.
Okay, you applied and they accepted you.
Oh yeah. No problems whatsoever.
Did you have a job lined up?
No, nothing.
Oh, okay, okay.
Went to England.
Where in England?
We ended up in the Midlands.
Midlands, okay.
Midlands, yeah.
All right.
Near the English town of Leicester.
Near Leicester.
Yeah.
So, and then what did you end up doing there?
Well, first of all, we were doing nothing. We arrived there and we were in a sort of camp. Then we separately went out, and since I already knew I could speak already English, because I had learned.
Right.
And I got a job in a textile factory.
Textiles, okay.
There were in England. There were for immigrants. There were two choices: either agriculture or textile industry.
Okay.
I went into textile industry.
Right.
So we settled down in England. Changed jobs, got a higher salary, and eventually were in my profession as an engineer in a factory, and so and we lived.
So you did well in England. You made your way up
Oh
in the
yeah.
world. Yeah.
Well, first.
Did you save a lot of money at that time, or did you have to spend a lot of money to get by?
No, you couldn't spend if you didn't have. You had to.
Right. You had to earn it. Yeah.
We. Well, as I had met my wife in the refugee camp in Germany.
Yeah.
We went to England, we got married.
Okay, yeah.
And we both were working in my engineering line.
Right.
And moving up,
Right.
And
where did my grandmother work?
Well, she also worked in a different factory. I don't remember exactly.
Right. Okay.
And then we had a daughter.
Yeah, my mother.
Yeah.
Yeah. In I believe 1953.
Yeah. So. That means that we had been over 5 years in England.
Right.
We had married and
right.
we had a daughter.
Right. So when did you come to Canada?
Well, we continued to live in Germany, in England until 1957. We arrived. 47, and we had been 10 years in England, and we decided to emigrate again to Canada.
Right.
We had not decided exactly whether Canada or US.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I applied first to US, but there was a delay of 4 years.
Oh, okay, 4-year delay, yeah.
And so I went to Canada agency, and we were accepted right away.
Right.
And we sailed a couple of months later.
Right.
Sailed and. Arrived in Montreal.
Right, yeah, you took a big ship, right?
Yeah.
What was the company? What was the name? The name of the ship? The name of the company? Wasn't it like Star or something? Okay, yeah, I don't know. But it was a big ship. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Back in those days. So you arrived in Canada. What part of Canada?
Well, in Montreal.
Montreal.
Because we had. We had some friends in England who had emigrated further onto Canada before us.
Yeah.
And they lived they had settled down in Montreal.
Right.
So that was the first stop.
Right.
We arrived there.
What was your career in Canada? What did you get into?
I got a job practically right away.
Practically right away?
Practically right
Good
away.
For you.
I got an engineering job in effect like a rather low engineering job in designing and technical drawing.
Technical drawings, okay. For what? What company?
Redpath Sugar.
Redpath Sugar. So
which
sugar
is a major company in Canada.
It's still around today. You can still smell it down by the water. Well, this is in Montreal. Yeah.
I beg a correction.
Yeah. Right.
I started work for Redpath Sugar in Canada.
Yeah.
Not in England.
Not in England. No. Yeah. So you worked in Montreal, and then let's conclude this. You know, let's bring us up to the present. You know, you were in Montreal for some years.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
we were in Montreal for quite a few years. We arrived there in 47, in 57.
Yeah, 57.
And 5 years later, we bought a house.
Oh yeah. After only 5 years in Canada, you could buy a house.
Well, as a matter of fact, it was even earlier.
Oh wow, even earlier.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, good for you. How much did your house cost? Back
Well,
then?
I can't remember.
Less than 100,000.
Oh yeah, definitely.
For sure.
So we settled in Montreal.
Right.
And I got the job at Redpath Sugar.
Yeah.
That job I got right away.
Yeah.
Arriving, and in the first week I had a job.
Right. And then when did you come to Ontario? When did you come to Toronto?
Well, I worked for Redpath and advanced and became eventually a general refinery manager.
Yeah. General refinery manager.
Yeah.
Okay. So you were in charge of the whole factory.
Yeah. Redpath had two refineries, one in Montreal and one in Toronto.
Right.
And I got up to the job of general manager in Montreal refinery.
Right.
Now that took time, of course.
It did, yeah.
And of course, my age kept going on older.
What did you enjoy about being an engineer?
Well, the work itself.
You like the work itself. So you like your career, you like your job.
Very much so.
Right. Yeah.
Not only at work,
Yeah.
but applying engineering principles in many other sidelines.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So eventually I was transferred in my last year with the company when I was 65 in 1981.
Right. Try to just speak up a little so the camera can, so the microphone can hear you.
Oh,
They might not hear you.
Okay. So what?
So you're living in you got a house in Oakville, right?
Oh well, that was later. We had a house in Montreal.
Yeah, but then we're moving. I'm trying to bring this story to a close here. I'm trying to bring your
okay.
We've been telling them your history for half an hour here.
Then I went.
So let's wrap this up so I can ask you some real questions.
They transferred me to Toronto. The sugar company.
Right.
And I settled down in Oakville.
Right.
Bought a house in Oakville and officially retired in 1981.
1981.
But continued to work for the company.
For a few years, right? Yeah.
For 5 years.
So you've been retired since the middle of the 1980s.
Yeah.
So you've been retired, let's say, from 85. So that's 95, 2005, 2000. So you've been retired for about 32 years.
Well,
that's incredible. Not everyone can. A lot of times people just they die right after they retire. But so let me just bring us to a close here. So you after my mother died, after your daughter died in 2007, you went back to Latvia for almost 10 years.
No, about 8.
About 8 years. Living with your relatives back in Latvia, and we visited you there once.
Yeah.
And then just this year, or less than a year ago, you came back.
Yeah.
And where are we right now? Where is this right now?
I decided Canada was a very attractive country.
Right.
I lived many years here, and I had already the two grandchildren.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
So I wanted to come back.
Of course.
See you guys.
Of course. So you lived 50 plus about 50 years in Canada, plus 1 year now, and then the rest in Latvia. And then 40 years in Latvia, 10 years in England,
2 years.
2 years in Germany.
Yeah.
And then the rest, so yeah, there you have it. Okay, so now you're 100 years old, Grandpa, so how have you stayed so healthy? What health issues do you have? You still go for walks?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, around the block?
Yeah.
So how has old age affected you? What issues do you have? Do you have any issues?
Well, life has become somewhat boring.
Right. Yeah.
Because all my life I've been very active.
Want any water?
No.
No? Okay.
I've been very active, and
You have been very active. Your mind has been very active.
well, basically my mind.
But what about your? You mentioned some issues sometimes, like your eyesight. Or,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. My biggest problem now, of course, is my eyesight.
Eyesight.
Which
Okay.
is low,
Right.
and my hearing is
Hearing.
also
Yeah.
a little bit affected,
Right.
and my memory.
Your memory. Yeah. Yeah.
My memory
Memory.
is affected,
Yeah.
especially the present,
Right.
present memory.
Right.
I remember everything
Right.
quite well. What happened years
Yeah.
ago
Yeah.
and decades ago.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But your short-term memory.
but not
Yeah.
what day was yesterday.
What day was yesterday? What day is today? Right. But what about sure? So that happens with old age, but some people might be interested to know that you've smoked cigarettes
I do.
and you still have lived this long, relatively healthily. You've smoked cigarettes your entire life? No.
Yes, I started smoking. The first try
Right.
was in high school,
Right. Yeah.
but then of course
Yeah.
I smoked very little.
Right.
That was just occasional.
So then when did you start smoking more regularly?
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know exactly, but it grew, became more and more. Until let's say a package in 2 days or something.
But when you were in your 30s or your 20s?
When I was, let's say, in my 30s.
Okay. And then you smoked about, what, a pack a day, you said?
No.
A week?
Right now, I smoke roughly a pack in 2 days.
Pack in 2 days right now. But you weren't like that 10 years ago. You smoked a lot until the 1970s, right? And then you cut it off to one a day. You cut it off to one a day.
Yes, I tried to, let's say, to cut.
You did.
Or to stop smoking. But this lasted for 3-4 years.
Right.
When I smoked only one cigarette after supper.
Right. Not 3-4 years. You did that for decades.
Well,
You did that since the end of the 70s, I think. I'm not sure, but for a long time, because when you lived with us in Toronto, that's how it was. You always had one cigarette after dinner.
That's
But then, so I know I'm filling in the story here.
Well, before that, I smoked more.
Right.
Then I cut this and that lasted for some years, 2-3 years or what, and gradually it grew up again.
It grew up again gradually in the last 5, 6, 7 years. Yeah, but before that you weren't smoking so much. But then before, like 50s, 60s, 70s, you were smoking a lot. So, and I just wanted, because people are interested in that, because cigarettes are supposed to be unhealthy and they're supposed to shorten your life, but maybe you have some magical power. What about alcohol? You like alcohol?
The occasional, yes.
Okay.
I don't drink regularly,
Okay.
but
All right.
the occasional, like at party
Right,
or some occasions, I enjoy.
Right. Okay. Just interested.
Well, what else? I don't know.
What about marijuana? What about weed?
No, never tried. never tried.
No.
And,
that was just for the hippies, right? The crazy people. So, all right. So, anyways, so what was the key to your success? Why did you have such a successful career? What challenges did you face through your life? Or what did you learn through your career?
Well, that's a very difficult question.
I guess it is a difficult question, yeah.
But well, I've been always interested in my profession, in engineering.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about that, and I think that the reason why is that when I was born and grew up, and I was a small boy in Latvia, my father had a mill.
Okay, yeah.
Water-driven mill in the country. And I was always around there, and I remember sometimes when there were some repairs made, and there were some professional people, and I was looking there, and a couple of times I told them how to explain. I saw that they were cutting some pieces to fit in a big wheel, and I looked at them, and then I said, "You are wrong. That piece will not fit there."
Oh yeah.
They started to laugh. There were a couple of laborers and a couple of specialists. They started to laugh. 10 minutes later, they said, "My goodness, the boy was right."
Oh, really? I didn't know that story. That's pretty funny. So that's pretty interesting. So yeah, I mean, you had a successful career. So tell us a little bit about how was your marriage? How was your family life? You only had one kid. Why not more kids?
Well, I'm very sorry that very sorry that I didn't have. I think that was a foolish behavior. I don't know what motivated. If I would live it over again, I would have 3 minimum, maybe 4.
Okay, 3 minimum, maybe 4. All right, that's good to know. But it would have been easier to have kids in your time, in the 50s.
Well,
cheaper, right?
Yeah.
Not so much money.
Yeah.
But still a big investment. So what about what was how were you able to pay for your house in Montreal? How were you able to get a car? Did you ever have to go into debt?
No.
No?
No. Well, of course, what I mean is that I did not borrow any money.
You never, did you ever borrow money?
From a bank? No.
No, you never borrowed money in your life? I don't think so.
I think you are right.
Yeah, I don't see why you would need to. You always seem to have money, so.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that was sort of the concept was grown in myself
Right.
from my parents or what.
Right. So I want to come back to the notion of marriage. So did being married, did that affect your ability to live the life you wanted?
No,
No?
no. It it was the opposite.
It was the opposite.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, that's good. And then so how did it improve your life?
That's a difficult question. It stabilized
Okay.
your everything around you. First, starting with yourself. You didn't look anymore for girls or beautiful eyes. You were married,
Right.
and you found the beautiful things in the marriage too.
Hmm.
And well, I don't know how to explain.
What was my grandmother like? What qualities did she bring to the marriage?
Love.
Love.
Well, no, she was very practical, and
Okay.
I think Latvians are practical people.
Right. That could be. I don't know too many Latvians. I know a few.
But well, that's a philosophical
Right.
question.
Yeah. All right. So what's your advice for me, Grandpa?
Oh, yes. My advice is that you should think about this. There are many things which marriage will improve, and well, you see, my thinking is slow right now.
Right. Yeah.
But it stabilizes you. I mean, there are many things that your life becomes more solid on solid foundations. Well, it's difficult to explain in simple words, but all sorts of principles come and form your thinking, form your actions, which go in a certain direction, not just shooting all around you.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, you have to you have still to be yourself, sort of. Well, I can't explain.
No, it makes sense. Still be yourself. Still, live the life you wanna live.
Yeah.
But you think being married, you can have both. You don't have to sacrifice living the life you want.
Yeah.
For you, at least.
Yeah.
Or for me. What about so that's marriage advice. What about for career? What about for young people today? They don't have jobs. I don't have a regular job. I know. So what's your your advice?
Well, my advice is to try seriously to start. See, a lot of people like you, I assume, you don't have a job and you are afraid that you don't know, you might go in the wrong direction in your career or what. But I say no. you start a job which you happen to get, which is available. No matter what. Let's say that it is not the in your line, or you may not even like very much. But if that's the only one you get, grab it.
Even if it's at a fast food restaurant?
Even if it is, yeah, because you will not like the fast food restaurant if it is, in shaped for you. You will not like it. You will grab any opportunity around you. And opportunities arise.
I hope so.
A lot of people don't see them, or don't want to see them. No.
That could be. I think it's a little hard to find it.
Maybe, I don't know nowadays.
You can find a fast food job, or you can find a retail job. But otherwise, I think you can be an intern in an office and work unpaid and hope to get it your way in the door. So.
Well, but.
Otherwise, you have to go to law school or medical school to be a doctor or a lawyer.
Well,
or something like that.
Yeah, no, but you can become, and you see, if you start a job, even one which you don't like, but you start a job, you gain experience.
That's true.
You can start a certain definition. Okay, why don't you like certain jobs? Why do I like other jobs? And then once the trend is in your mind, your eyes will be looking for opportunities, and opportunities will arise. They always arise and will continue to arise, but you have to see them.
Right.
You have to see them, and when there is an opportunity, take it, grab it, because that does not limit your further choice.
Yeah. Fair enough. I just think the economy's not doing so well right now as it was doing maybe in the 50s when you arrived. So it's true. I understand what you're saying.
That may be true, but I don't know.
Like there's not so many factories here anymore, like the Redpath Sugar refinery. I don't know. You wouldn't employ so many people now like they would have in the past. But I don't know. But it's interesting.
No, you see, even if you apply for a job which you may not like, but being in the job, you will gain some experience, and your eyes and ears will be open. If you are, let's say, you might even like if you are active mind or something, you might do some improvements and so on. And if you are good, at the job, whatever it is, you will have a chance to advance, or not necessarily up, but sideways as well.
Right. No, that's true. That's fair enough. So.
And I wish that you would practice that.
Yeah. Well, I have my investments, my projects in Ghana.
Well,
you can make a lot of money.
I'm not. What's the right word?
You're not critiquing that. You're not.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. That's
I know. Yeah.
All good. Continue in that line, and that will be okay.
Fair enough.
But a lot of people see who try to deliberately try to find a sort of an easy job, a wonderful job which will exalt me. Those thoughts have to be thrown out. You take a job, you concentrate, you do your best, and you keep your eyes and ears open, and never hesitate to, to look. You may change the job.
Yeah, no, that's true. All right. So, moving on. So, what's your opinion on Canada and modern Western society? Because you've lived in Europe, you've lived in Canada for a long time. So, how is it different to you? How does it seem different from when you were a kid, or at least when you were my age, when you were 30?
Oh boy.
I guess that's a difficult question.
It's a very difficult question. First of all, you see, you are now when the world and yourself have been advancing for 20 or 30 years, or what, your evaluation does the same. And
what do you mean your evaluation?
Well, in other words, what you liked then you may not like now, or vice versa.
Okay. Oh, I see. So you might feel differently about the world now than when you were younger.
Yeah.
But in simple terms, you remark about the traffic a lot. You say there's a lot more traffic in the city now, like more cars, more busy roads.
It is.
Right.
I'm amazed and I'm worried that right here, Toronto, there are so many, not even traffic accidents, but there is another line, shootings.
Shootings, right? Yeah. That's because you have one television channel, but and they tell you about all that stuff all the time. But it's true. It does happen. Yeah, there are shootings. Yeah.
Well, all the what they tell have happened.
No, it's true. Yeah.
And it's every day, and it's endless, and all. You can feel that the world is going in a certain directions. Not only here. There was just a couple of days ago the Westminster Bridge in London.
Yeah.
Where the people were
the terrorist attack in London. Yeah. That brings me to my next question. Connected to terrorism, what is your opinion on the rise of populism? The rise of populism. So Donald Trump, Brexit, in the UK they left the European Union. In France, Marine Le Pen is rising in France. So the European Union is slow declining, it's weakening. So what's your opinion? Are you optimistic like many of us? Like I admit I'm optimistic. Are you pessimistic, or what's your do you think what's your opinion on this?
Well, I'm a little bit pessimistic because the multitude of these things they seem to spring up everywhere. I remember years ago. Before I went back to Latvia and when I worked, that time you would never hear so many shootings in or collisions on the roads.
Yeah, but this is populism, like the politics. Not so much the shootings and the collisions. Now we have governments that are more nationalist, or at least, it appears that way.
Well,
I guess it's a complicated phenomenon. I guess it's hard to, it's hard to get a handle on what's going on when
it
you
seems
don't
to
have the
me,
internet. Yeah.
talking about the shootings, this this is surprising to me since
Right.
since I came back to Canada.
Yeah. Oh, is it? Okay. Well, I think
before I went away, there were not that many shootings.
No, I have to disagree with you on that. There were shootings.
No.
You just don't remember. And there was traffic too. The traffic's been bad in Toronto for a while.
Well, all right. Traffic has grown in numbers. They are
shootings. We have shootings, but anyways. So it's a complicated phenomenon, this rise of populism. So there's not. I guess it's hard for you to comment on that. But people are, trying to say we need to control immigration a bit more. We need to. We don't want one system imposed on the world. We want each nation to determine its own fate. So, anyways.
Well, they are all. They sound all correct and right, but they don't work out.
They don't work out. Uh-oh. Well, I hope they do. It depends on who you put in power. Anyways, I just have a few more questions for you. I'm going to wrap up this interview. It's almost 1 hour we've been talking here. How much do you trust the media? Do you trust the TV? Do you trust the newspapers? Do they have credibility for them? Are you willing to trust? Trust them? Because they're corporations,
Well, it depends what you mean, whether I trust them. Trust them what? I trust the media that they are not lying, that they are reporting things that happen. Now, and I think that they are pretty right, because we know years ago when the communism was blooming in some parts in Russia, for instance. At those times, they were hiding things and they were misreporting.
Right. You mean the communist media?
Communists.
They were hiding things.
I think that the present day media is.
Couldn't they be doing the same thing as the communist media?
No, I don't.
No?
No, I don't think.
I
trust them because really.
I don't trust them at all.
Well, I do trust them because they report occasions. Communism reported well, in other words, present media reports facts. Communism reported
feelings and accusations. And,
right.
Not really a fact.
Not really facts.
But can't the present media do the same thing? Because they said Donald Trump was a Russian agent. They said he's crazy.
Well,
they said he's Hitler.
Well, you can't.
So if they say he's Hitler and they say he's crazy and they say he's a Russian agent.
It depends what type of words you use. Like what meaning people attach to those words. I personally, when there was election in the States, and they were reporting and showing, and the two candidates were there. I didn't like Trump.
Right, a lot of people didn't like him because...
I didn't like him.
Right, I remember, you told me.
And now I am still saying that United States is 5 years will be turmoil.
Oh, I hope not. Well, yeah.
Will be.
Well, yeah, the economy is going to collapse if you bubble.
Well,
But anyways, but Hillary Clinton, she was pretty corrupt as well. So.
I don't know.
Well.
I don't know that facts. I didn't know, but I just speak of the impression gained from watching them discuss and talk.
Yeah, but it's okay, fair enough. But then this same media told you that Brexit was not going to happen, and then Brexit happened.
What happened?
The mainstream media, CNN, the corporations.
So, about what?
Brexit. The UK leaving the European Union. They called it Brexit. So they told you that it wasn't going to happen, and then it happened. So they were very wrong. And then they told you that Trump had no chance, and then they were wrong. So are you still going to trust them? Because those are big mistakes.
That's media.
That's the media. That's the corporate media.
Well, you see, media expresses, depending where, in what area, in what state are the media.
All the major networks and all the major newspapers.
They reflect. I think that they reflect occasionally the inner feelings of people.
Yeah.
Of the whole.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to hope so. I'm going to have to disagree with you there. But it's interesting. I respect your opinion there. Just a few other questions here. What do you think about climate change, man-made climate change? You know, they've been telling us for years and years and years, they've been telling us the world is going down, the world is going to end.
Well,
we know, I think climate change is occurring, but do you believe it's man-made or it's just happening?
I think that's the wrong expression, man-made. It may be the unplanned or unimagined effects from the people, but that's not the major. The major thing is in nature. For instance, climate change.
Yeah.
And here's also a controversy. My opinion is that climate will become colder.
Oh yeah.
Not warmer.
Colder. Okay.
Will become colder, and that is based on facts.
Yeah.
Based on facts that simple. Simply expressed, what everyone can understand is sun is heating the earth and everything else around it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are two things now. Sun is emitting heat.
Yeah.
That heat is weight.
Right.
As it emits the heat, the sun's weight goes smaller.
Yeah.
Sun is losing weight. As sun is losing weight, there is also the other connection. Sun and earth. If sun becomes smaller, the attraction becomes smaller, and earth increases the distance.
Right. Okay.
Because the weight matter.
Right. I get what you're saying. The sun mass goes down, so the Earth goes further out because there's less gravity.
Less gravity.
Right, but that'll take millions and millions of years if that even happens. And the climate changes faster than that.
Yeah.
The climate can change in only a few hundred or 1,000 years.
There is another thing. You know, around every every object
Yeah.
in the sky, yeah,
Right.
planets and suns and whatever, has gravitational, yeah. They are gravitational fields. You take uh, sun belongs in the greater what you call that a number of stars is galaxy, yeah.
Yeah, the galaxy.
Galaxy.
Yeah.
You see, and they are all moving.
That's true.
They are all moving.
Mhm.
We don't know can't tell you the directions, but they are all moving. Some are moving faster, some are moving slower. Now, the gravitational fields, they are huge.
Hmm.
They become weaker the more the farther away, they decrease. But yet, and there are so many gravitational fields from each one, they intersect and adding or contradicting in every possible way that can be imagined. I think that if the climate or temperature is falling right now, that some of it may be due to changes in the huge gravitational fields.
Okay.
Because every object attracts.
Yeah.
One object is here, one is here. There is double
right. Okay.
attraction. It changes. It's not like a circle.
Right. Yeah.
It may be like this way.
It's elliptical.
All sorts of ways it may be. Earth is moving also.
Yeah.
They keep moving through different fields.
Interesting.
And and they may go in other way or the opposite way.
Interesting. So, do you believe in extraterrestrials and aliens? Aliens, extraterrestrials. Extraterrestrials.
Oh, terrestrial.
Aliens, flying saucers.
Flying. Well.
Do you think they could exist, or do you think they've already visited, but they didn't tell anyone? Or
I don't know about visitation. Visitation is unlikely, but they do exist.
You do think they exist?
Well,
somewhere.
Well, they have.
Yeah, they have to.
They have to exist because every object, sun, there's lots going around. Here is suns everywhere.
Yeah.
Of course, they become weaker and weaker. They still add up.
What adds up? You mean
the gravitational power?
Right. Yeah, but I'm asking you about aliens, about extraterrestrials.
Oh, extraterrestrials.
Other civilizations.
Well, my mind, my simple mind says there have to be many.
There have to be many. Yeah.
There have to be many. Whether they can, it's very unlikely that we will ever encounter them. But I think they exist.
I think they've already been interfering with us, but they keep it secret. But they meet certain government leaders, they meet certain corporations.
That way.
But then they don't tell anyone. But I don't know, it's a conspiracy theory. I'm a conspiracy theorist. But you think, but forget that, but you think somewhere they're out in the big universe, there must be some other life.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Many. Many.
Yeah. Out in the galaxy and then beyond the galaxy. There must be many. So that's interesting. So look, we've been talking here for
Well, it has to be. I mean, because why would only Earth have? There are no exceptional things around it or around sun. It is one of millions of others.
Right. Yeah. Millions and billions.
Yeah, there may not be
Yeah.
the same people. There may
Yeah.
be different, but
Yeah.
there will be plenty like.
Yeah. Did you know that before 15 years ago, the telescopes could not find Earth-like planets, but now telescopes find a lot of Earth-like planets around the same size, with water, same general distance from the sun. So now they think the Earth is a common type of planet.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting. So, anyways, I just want to conclude the interview here because we've been talking for over an hour. But is there anything else you want to conclude? Like, let me ask you one more question. What's your advice for being happy? How can we live a happy life? Because you've been happy and you've been sad, but overall you've done well. You've made it to 100. You've had a successful life. You made money. You raised a family. And what's your advice for us younger folk?
Well, I think you have to follow your own can't find the word. Let's say we are all born sort of equal with, but not limited. We are not limited. We can go any other way. Yeah. Well, if you, I don't know that you can plan. I don't think that anyone can plan whether he will be happy or whether he will be unhappy.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, it's hard to plan that kind of thing. Yeah.
It is hard. But if you follow your inner feelings, sort of,
right,
which come from your soul or heart.
Yeah, come from your soul or your heart. Follow your inner feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you will still encounter bad and good, but you will. Your senses will sort of evaluate and guide you. I don't know.
No, that's great. That's great. And I want to thank you, and I appreciate you for sharing this information. And then I hope my viewers, my audience, maybe you found that enlightening too. I think it's a blessing to be to share time with someone like you, who's lived a life like you.
What was my language? Understandable?
I hope so. I hope they could understand it. I mean, I don't know about the audio, but we'll find out, No, for me, I could understand you fine.
Okay.
So we'll see. So anyways, thanks again, and I hope you enjoyed that, friends. Hasta luego, amigos.